never liked the silence. Ever. At first you thought it was just something you were scared of, for no reason. But as you grew older, you realized that there was a reason. There had always been a reason. You've always slept with your creaky ceiling fan running, no matter how cold it was. You'd take extra blankets, you'd shiver, but you'd never switch the creaky thing off. Because you knew how much you dreaded the silence. Because you knew that once it was silent, you'd hear them. At first, it started out as a soft hissing noise. You'd ignore it, but then you'd realize that it sounded like someone was whispering something. To you. It took you time to decipher them. You finally did. You'd never forget that. They had told you about the underworld. Hell. The place where everyone went once they died. There was no heaven. There was only hell. They told you about the creatures there. How every monster you'd ever feared was real. They told you terrible things. Then they told you how your grandfather's soul was inching closer. To hell. To death. You remembered being at your grandpa's funeral the very next day. Shaking. More out of fear than grief. They were real. It was real. Since then, you've never allowed the silence to envelop you while you slept. You're scared you'll hear them. The things they spoke about still gave you nightmares. You've never slept in complete darkness either. Because that's when you see them. When you are admitted to a hospital, they place on your wrist a white wristband with your name on it. But there are other different colored wristbands which symbolize other things. The red wristbands are placed on dead people. There was one surgeon who worked on the night shift in a school hospital. He had just finished an operation and was on his way down to the basement. He entered the elevator and there was just one other person there. He casually chatted with the woman while the elevator descended. When the elevator door opened, another woman was about to enter when the doctor slammed the close button and punched the button to the highest floor. Surprised, the woman reprimanded the doctor for being rude and asked why he did not let the other woman in. The doctor said, "That was the woman I just operated on. She died while I was doing the operation. Didn't you see the red wristband she was wearing?" The woman smiled, raised her arm, and said, "Something like this?" A few years ago, a mother and father decided they needed a break, so they wanted to head out for a night on the town. They called their most trusted babysitter. When the babysitter arrived, the two children were already fast asleep in bed, so the babysitter just got to sit around and make sure everything was okay with the children. Later that night, the babysitter got bored and went to watch TV, but she couldn't watch it downstairs because they didn't have cable downstairs, as the parents didn't want the children watching too much garbage. So she called them and asked if she could watch the cable in the parents' room. Of course, the parents said it was okay, but the babysitter had one final request. She asked if she could cover up the angel statue outside the bedroom window with a blanket or cloth. At very least, close the blinds, because it made her nervous. The phone line was silent for a moment, and the father, who was talking to the babysitter at the time, said, "Take the children and get out of the house, now! We're going to call the police. We don't have an angel statue." The police found all three of the house occupants dead within 10 minutes of the call. No statue was ever found. I've been lying down for hours now. It's 5:35 a.m. and there's not much I can do. You know what the worst part about my situation is? I'm in the same room with my parents. They keep looking at me, and I can't help but look back and try not to cry or scream. Their eyes are focused on me and their mouths are wide open. There's the strong scent of blood and I'm paralyzed with fear. Here's the thing. The second that I make any hint that I'm not asleep anymore, I'm completely screwed. I will die, and there's nobody around to save me. I've been trying to think of a way out, but the only idea I have is to rush for my bedroom door, run outside the front door and scream for help, hoping any of the neighbors might hear me. It's risky, but if I stay here, I'll surely die. He's waiting for me to wake up and see his masterpiece. You're probably wondering what's going on. I do tend to get ahead of myself sometimes. About 3 hours ago, I heard screaming from the other side of the house. I got up and went to check on the noise, and I realized that I had to use the restroom. Instead of doing the smart thing and investigating, I used the bathroom first. I could have gotten myself killed right then and there for my stupid actions, but I actually did my business and took a peek outside the bathroom. There was blood on the carpet. I got very worried and ran back to my room and hid under the sheets like the coward I was. I tried to convince myself to go back to sleep, that it was just some really vivid dream or something. I heard my bedroom door open. Like the terrified child I was, I peeked from under my blanket to see what was going on. I could see something dragging my dead parents into the room. Whatever it wasn't human, I can tell you that. It was hairless with no eyes and no clothing. It walked like a caveman with its back slouched as it dragged my parents. But this thing was much smarter than any caveman. It was aware of what it was doing. It propped my dad up on the edge of my bed and made him face me. Then it sat my mother down in the chair and positioned her towards me as well. After that, it started rubbing its hands on the walls, staining them with blood, and then drew a circle with a pentagram in it. To finish it off, it scribbled a message on the wall that I couldn't read in the darkness. It then positioned itself under my bed, waiting to strike. The scariest thing is now, my eyes have adjusted to the darkness since then and I can read the message on the wall. I don't want to look at it because it's terrifying to think about, but I feel the need to see before I'm killed. I peek at the creature's masterpiece.
I know you're awake.
Did you ever see one of those videos where you were asked to look for or follow a specific thing throughout the video? Then at the end, they reveal that as you were watching, something large and intrusive moved around in plain sight, and you never even noticed it. It's frightening how much that happens. Like how I just moved from the doorway into your room as you read this.